Carl here from Games, Brains and a Headbanger Live, gbhbuild.com for short, and I have the absolute pleasure to be speaking with Craig Lum, guitarist of the simply legendary thrash metal band Heathen. Craig, thank you so much for your time. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for the interview. Looking forward to finally getting the new Heathen album out. It's been a long time.
No kidding. About the year then in general though, but how have you been coping throughout 2020 as a whole, obviously now that we're living in the COVID times?
Well, I'm a homebody, so being home hasn't been a problem for me. Obviously it caused it caused us to cancel our tour dates for this year. The album was delayed by about 3 months because of COVID, and it really ultimately it was more related to retailers focusing on taking things that people needed at the time when the pandemic first happened. Masks, gloves, stuff like that, and they weren't taking new music, so we had to delay it until they were ready to take new music. So other than that, everybody in the band is just kind of doing whatever they can to stay sane and stay safe, and we're just all focused on sort of promoting the new record.
Absolutely. And do you think you've managed to keep positive throughout this time, considering that isn't always the easiest thing to do?
No, I mean, I haven't had an issue with it personally. I'm kind of a positive guy and, I'm just, doing whatever I can to sort of adapt and survive. And, change is sometimes unfortunately part of life, and we just have to deal with it. There's nothing we can do about COVID-19 or not being able to tour. So I'm just trying to focus on the things that we can control and make the best out of it.
Absolutely. Can't put it any better than that. And of course, as of the time of this recording, we're now less than 2 weeks away from the release of Empire of the Blind. A very long time coming. Does it feel good?
It absolutely feels great. We signed with Nuclear Blast in 2012, and I actually started writing music for the album that year, and probably had half that record written by 2014. So we had a delay of about 5 years there where we didn't really we really just couldn't focus on writing and recording because both Lee and I were playing with Exodus. So, we had a huge, heavy tour schedule with them. I think they did more touring for the Blood In, Blood Out album than they had ever. So, we were just busy, and every time I had a break, I would come back and recover and then write some stuff. But, it just, for something like this, the way that we work and the way that we write, it really takes a lot of focus, and we like to take our time with it. So we spent all of 2019 working on the record, either writing or pre-production or recording. Yeah. So we're definitely happy to have it out. It came out great. We're really proud of it, and can't wait for the fans to get to hear the whole record.
So when work began then, or I guess when you really focused your mind on it in 2019, what was the goal, so to speak, in regards to how you wanted it to sound?
Well, Lee, David, and I talked about it while we were touring for the Evolution of Chaos.
Oh, yeah.
And we sort of collectively decided that we wanted to have the next album be a combination of the songwriting and sort of epic feel of the songs from Victims of Deception and the Evolution of Chaos, but mix them with these shorter arrangements song arrangements from Breaking the Silence.
Oh wow!
And so that's kind of what we tried to do with the new record. Really, was to keep the same writing style and feel of the songs, but have them be a little more concise.
Do you think you've achieved that?
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that we were able to do that. We just, we don't put any rules or regulations on what we do at all. So if somebody had written a 12-minute epic, we wouldn't have not included it or anything. We just, we just had a general idea of how we wanted to proceed. So, I mean, the first song, the first two songs on the record, there's an intro and then the first track, The Blight. Those are really one long song. It's just that they're split up in the track listing, in case somebody wants to get right to the meat and potatoes, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple that are basically approaching that 6-minute mark, which is still not short. But then we also have some that are in the 3-minute, 3 to 4 minute range. So I think we did it. Like I said, we're really proud of it. We focused on songs and the songwriting, and still trying to, give the songs that epic feel and give them as much detail and depth as we could.
Oh, fantastic. And from how you're speaking and what you've said already, you sound pretty confident about the release, that fans are going to embrace it and what Heathen sound like in 2020.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're confident with the record. That's for sure. As far as how fans receive it, who knows? That's one of those things we can't control. Thrash metal fans, there are sort of, I think, two categories of the thrash metal fans. There are the fans that are, very picky and particular with what they like in their thrash metal.
True.
And then there are other fans that just want to support the genre at all. So, it seems to me that the younger fans have put a whole bunch of rules and regulations on what thrash metal should be, in terms of, what tuning you're in and what speed the songs are and all of that sort of stuff. Heathens never followed the rules, and we kind of just write whatever sounds good to us. And that's honestly, that's what thrash metal always was when it started out. It was about breaking the rules. And so, we have a ballad on the record. We have an instrumental on the record. We have fast stuff. We have slow stuff. You name it. There's a lot of variety. So that's pretty typical with the Heathen album. You get a lot of variety and a lot of different stuff. And so we tried to deliver all of that in the music and the lyrics.
Oh, absolutely. I think you certainly delivered variety. What about the reaction to the singles so far? Is that something you've been paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but do that when you put your babies out into the world. You want to know how they're being received. It seems like we've got we got a really good reception for both singles.
Yeah.
And each one of the singles that we have released, including the one that's coming up with the album release, all the songs are different. The Blight is what we call a burner. It's a fast one. It's got a lot of notes, and then Empire of the Blind is more epic sounding, and then the next single will be more sort of accessible song. So we've got a little bit of everything that we're sort of putting on display, I guess, with the singles, and we'll see how people like each one. There's a lot of stuff on this record, and I think there's something for everybody.
Would you then say 2020, the release of this album, that this is Heathen having a bit of a resurgence, as it were?
Yeah, I mean, when you're gone for 10 years, what else could you call it? It's, I don't know if it's a resurgence. I mean, we're basically taking what we did on the Evolution of Chaos and taking it to the next place. This band never repeats itself from album to album. Each one has been different, and they probably always will be. That's just, that's just how this band is. We don't want to, we're not comfortable sort of just rewriting the same songs over and over again, if that makes sense. So is it a resurgence? I don't know. Some people will see it as a continuation of what we've always done. And, some people will see it, as something different. So that's okay.
Absolutely.
We're happy with it.
Yeah, it's just, as you said, when you have a long period of downtime, particularly in the modern era, and how fast everything moves, you kind of get forgotten about.
I mean, you can put a single out, and after a couple of weeks, it's already forgotten about. It's crazy how short of an attention span everything has these days. But we're just going to do what we can do. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to sort of promote this album. Because we can't tour.
Yeah.
So we're just going to find whatever ways that we can to keep it in people's minds over the next few months.
We've said it then, and the question has to be, do you think Heathen are well equipped when it comes to the modern dealings of being in a band and promoting a record, the social media style of things and constant stream of content and so on?
Well, I mean, it's certainly different from what the band has done in the past.
Yeah.
I would say that, this band is traditionally old school mentality wise. Our approach to writing and everything else, it's about songs. It's not about some flash necessarily. And so, it's certainly different for us. We're using social media, and we're doing, we're doing everything that we can to sort of promote. At the same time, there are a lot of things that bands that are doing, that are sort of not able to tour are doing right now, like playing virtual concerts and stuff like that. To me personally, it's like watching a band rehearse. I mean, it's like, who cares? To me. But that's, live concerts are about the interaction between the band and the fans.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it special. So to me, watching a virtual concert, especially paying to see something, if a bunch of guys want to get together and do a collab jam, I think that's cool, but paying to watch a band rehearse, basically, like, I don't know. So it's some of the things. I think everybody's going to just be trying different things. It's hard. It's hard to keep things relevant for bands. A lot of bands that finish their album at the same time that we did are holding on to it and not releasing it for probably for a year until they can tour. We didn't want to do that. We felt like we made our fans wait 10 years already. Why make them wait another year? And
the additional 3 months as well.
Yeah, well, and that was out of our control.
Yeah.
But we wanted to get the music out there. People need entertainment right now, and not just because of sort of COVID-19 and not being able to get out of the house, but also with everything that's going on in the world. People need entertainment, and it's we're happy to get it out there. And who knows? I mean, maybe we'll see how how much time we have available to us and how long this goes on, and perhaps we'll get another Heathen album in a much shorter time frame.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, thrash itself, ups and downs. You have these peaks, you have these valleys, and we tend to, as a fan base, go through these periods of championing bands and then throwing them to the side. So you get the likes of yourselves, who have consistently been around. What is it, do you think, that makes thrash so undying compared to other genres?
Well, I mean, there's sort of there's a commitment to it in terms of how to how to play it, and there's a dedication not just from the bands but from the fans. I think that dedication is, quite honestly, there's a large group of metal fans that are that dedicated to the genre, and that's why it's lasted so long. It didn't just fade away like some other, kinds of music have. I'd like to see bands get back to the album format. I'd like to see them stop avoiding doing things that they used to do, like ballads.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of bands that were really good at that. Even thrash bands, or heavy or super heavy songs, or just more variety. It seemed, like I said before, there seem to be a lot of rules these days about what can be done, and so I think that's affecting how bands write. To be honest, they're not doing some of the things that they used to, and they're certainly not focusing on the album as an album. And what I mean by that is albums these days seem to be more of a collection of songs rather than something that's a real album, where it's thought, not just the songs are thought about, but the track order and the pacing, and creating something that you really want to listen to the whole thing, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But these bands are persistent, and I think about all the bands from when I grew up as a fan that are still around and still doing it, and not just still doing it, but still doing it really well. And it's pretty incredible, to be honest. You can't say that about a lot of the other music that came out at that same time, in sort of the late 80s. So it's pretty impressive. And, those of us that do it, we do it because we love it. So.
And it must absolutely warm your heart at shows, and you see, say, a 60-year-old man standing alongside with a 15-year-old boy, and both of them are in tune and headbanging away, and show that wide appeal, I guess, of the music.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of turned into a family thing, the guys who are my age or older that grew up listening to this music are bringing their kids now, and turning a whole generation of kids onto this music, which is, I mean, it's awesome. You think about some music that people grew up with, and they try to turn their kids onto it, and they're like, why would you want to listen to that? But this music's, it still has that, I don't know what you'd call it. It's this sort of that aggressive and defiant, vibe to it that appeals to kids. So I think it's awesome when I see that in the crowd. I mean, Lee always pulls kids up to out of the crowd to play his guitar and stuff at the end of Exodus and Heathen shows. I mean, we love seeing the younger kids in the front row. It's pretty awesome.
You can hear it in your voice. You still very much have a strong passion for the music.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I don't think anybody that plays metal and tries to make a living at it, I don't think that they do it for any other reason because they love it that much. I mean, there's a lot of frustration, and it's not an easy way to try and make a living.
Absolutely.
So you have to love it. It's the thing that drives you.
Yeah. I completely understand that. Right, last but not least, aside from the release of the album, are you predominantly, the band, focused on plans for 2021 then, seeing as obviously getting out live this year is near impossible?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing what we can to sort of, reschedule the tour dates that we had from this year for next year. Some of that, frankly, it's difficult. We don't know what is going to be acceptable or not acceptable in terms of traveling. We don't know if it's going, if a vaccine is going to be required, or how it's going to be crossing borders in Europe, or flying internationally. We really just don't know. If there are things in place like a 2-week quarantine or something. I mean, that could kill a band financially, to have to sit around for 2 weeks. So
make it pointless.
We're doing whatever we can to sort of prepare for it and plan for it, and we'll just have to take it as it comes, I guess, as things sort of become more information, I guess, becomes available about what's acceptable or not acceptable. So,
it's to simply watch this space until everyone knows what is going on, really.
That's right. And in the meantime, like I said, we're just going to do the best that we can to sort of promote the record. I'm just about to ship out a bunch of pre-orders from the Heathen store. I'm launching the Empire of the Blind guitar book, and so there's a lot of things surrounding the band that are going to be coming out. We've got a beer coming out, a bunch of other stuff that we're going to, whatever we can do during the next few months while we can't tour, we're going to do everything we can to promote the record and stay busy.
Fantastic. Craggan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate your support, and we look forward to getting over to the UK just as soon as we can.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?